Have you ever walked into a room and felt invisible even though you were standing right there? Like everyone could see something, everyone could feel something, but no one saw you? I want to tell you a story about a woman I once knew, someone who carried her heart quietly but fully. She loved deeply, but it seemed like the people around her only noticed her when she tried too hard. One evening, she sat across from someone she cared for, someone who should have felt the warmth she was giving. She spoke, laughed, shared a piece of her soul, and yet he didn't respond. Not because he didn't care, but because he had never experienced someone showing up so fully without asking for anything in return. She realized something in that moment. Love isn't about the loudest words, the most obvious gestures, or the attention you demand. Love is felt in the spaces between moments, in the quiet certainty of presence, in the little things that ripple through someone's soul without them even noticing right away. That day, she learned a truth most people never tell. The heart that loves without expectation is the one that leaves the deepest mark. And from that day forward, she chose to live that way. Not to be seen by everyone, but to be unforgettable to the right ones. The deepest truths of love are rarely spoken outright. Most of the time, they're felt long before any words come out. Have you ever paused and wondered why a man can hear "I love you" repeatedly and yet seem to pull away as if it's never enough? The truth is, words alone, even beautiful ones, don't always anchor him. They can be a start, a small spark. But what we're stepping into now isn't just a spark. It's a fire reaching into places inside him he didn't know were waiting. And before we dive deeper, tap like and subscribe, not for numbers, not for appearances, but because everything I know, everything I've felt, I'm sharing with you directly. I'm speaking from experience, from the part of me that understands how heavy it can feel to love deeply, to be misunderstood, or to wonder if your heart is enough. This isn't surface-level advice. It isn't about steps or checklists. This is for the part of you exhausted from overthinking, tired of trying to decode his actions, weary of wondering if you're slowly being forgotten. This is for the version of you ready to be fully seen, truly understood, and unforgettable in his life, not by bending, shrinking, or chasing, but by existing in a way he can't ignore. Imagine walking into a room, wearing the same clothes, smiling the same smile, yet something inside you has shifted. You move differently. You're not hoping for attention, not checking if he notices you. You simply exist as if you already belong. Sitting beside him, you don't demand attention. You radiate a presence impossible to overlook. Even if he tries, he cannot pretend he doesn't feel you. This is the energy of true attraction. Real connection isn't about being the loudest, the prettiest, or the most trying. It's about reaching a man's soul without forcing it. The type of presence that makes him think of you long after the night ends, after the lights go out, after everyone else is gone. That kind of woman doesn't chase, doesn't compete, doesn't push. She simply exists in a way that touches something deep inside him. Somewhere along the way, you might have been taught that men need constant reassurance, repeated words, or persistent proof to stay. But love doesn't work like a password. Saying "I love you" over and over doesn't guarantee he'll remain. Men stay where they feel something real, something steady, something grounded. They stay where their chest relaxes and their mind quiets. Men don't just hear words, they sense energy. They don't only remember phrases, they remember moments. The brush of your fingers that lingered like it mattered. The sound of your laughter that made him feel free. How you walked away calmly, confident, silently showing your worth. That kind of presence makes losing you feel like losing air. A woman like that doesn't ask to be remembered. She already is. And this isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. This isn't faking confidence or acting distant. It's revealing the real you, the part that feels deeply but stands strong, the part whose silence sometimes speaks louder than words, the part whose presence alone tells a story of depth, softness, and strength. I'm not giving tricks or manipulative tactics. This is an awakening. These are ways to make a man feel truly loved, not through forced words or desperate gestures, but through a presence that touches him so deeply it changes how he sees you. Even when you say, "I love you," it will feel small compared to the way you live inside him. This is for women who already know their worth but want to step into something unforgettable. Forget the old rules that told you to be smaller, quieter, less intense. When your intensity comes from truth, it isn't overwhelming, it becomes irresistible. You aren't here to be liked politely. You are here to be remembered deeply, to leave a mark he can't erase. Lean in. Every line, every moment matters. Nothing here is filler. This is emotional wisdom set on fire. By the end, I want you to not only understand your power, but to walk in it, breathe it, live it. If you're with me, feel it inside. Whisper it, write it, let it vibrate in your chest. I am the gravity. Not a spark, not a magnet. Gravity, the force he feels even when he tries not to. Stay close because we are only beginning. Imagine being at dinner together, a quiet, cozy place. He's sitting across from you, hair slightly messy, wearing a shirt that does something to you without trying. He's speaking about something meaningful. Your phone buzzes for a second. You glance down. It's nothing urgent. You look back up. He's still talking, but something in the energy shifts ever so slightly. It's subtle, nearly invisible, but you feel it. The difference between attention and true presence. His tone is warm, but a flicker passes through his eyes, like a candle touched by a soft wind. That tiny shift can matter more than you think. Even though you didn't mean to disconnect, even though it was just a momentary glance at your phone, something subtle happens. He senses the space, the slight distance, and a small shield rises in him. Men often don't voice hurt, they adjust quietly. Over time, without knowing it, he might reveal fewer tender moments, open less, not because he loves you any less, but because he protects the vulnerability that once flowed freely. This is why real love isn't built on grand declarations or dramatic gestures. It's in the small, consistent moments. Stillness, attention, presence. Love is not loud. Real love is steady. Real love is felt in quiet moments when two people are truly with each other. It isn't about performing, staring into his eyes like a scene in a movie. It's about letting him feel that in this moment, he is the center of your world, not because you are needy, but because you are fully present. Maybe you've worried that he won't notice, that even if you give him all your attention, he'll be distracted. Listen carefully. When a woman leads with presence, everything changes. Presence doesn't chase, it doesn't compete. Presence anchors the energy, shifts the room, and the man who craves something real will feel it. Presence is not a gift to hand out. It's a state you embody. From your breath to your tone, to the way you sit beside him, you become a force impossible to ignore. Not because you demanded it, but because your energy stabilizes the space. He may forget texts, jokes, or little gestures, but he will never forget the way your presence made him feel like nothing else mattered. Those moments live inside him. They echo, they stay, they become a part of his memory, a part of what keeps him drawn to you long after the moment ends. That is the kind of presence that holds a man's heart. So the next time you sit beside him, don't carry your checklist. Don't let your mind drift to tomorrow's tasks. Don't scroll your phone while pretending to pay attention. Instead, truly arrive. Arrive with your breath, arrive with your heart, arrive with calm, with peace, with full attention. Let your presence say, I am here, I am with you, you matter to me. That kind of presence is rare and unforgettable. Be with him as if your spirit is listening, not just your ears. In a world full of distractions, a woman who roots herself in presence becomes a quiet miracle, the pause in his chaos, the safe space he didn't even know he needed. Now, when we talk about touch, understand this. It's not just about skin or physical closeness. Touch is a conversation, a memory, an emotion spoken without words. Touch is truth wrapped in silence. Say it with me. Whisper it, type it, feel it inside. I am the presence. Imagine him coming home after a long day, shoulders heavy, eyes tired, mind elsewhere. Men often carry their burdens silently, thinking they must face them alone. You approach slowly, warmly, with that gentle smile that softens everything. You embrace him fully, not rushed, not distracted, but completely. 7 seconds, long enough for walls to drop, for tension to fade, for your presence to communicate, you're safe, I choose you, we're still us. Men won't always ask for this, not because they don't want it, but because they were raised to appear strong, even when breaking inside. Their bodies carry stress they can't name, but your touch, slow and intentional, tells a deeper truth than any words ever could. I see you, I feel you, you matter. You've felt it too. A quick kiss can feel routine, but a slow, meaningful touch opens something inside, softens something, reaches something hidden. Rush touch is noise, intentional touch is music. It stays in his heart, lingering long after it ends. So the next time he passes by, don't brush his arm casually. Pull him closer, let him melt into you. Let him feel home in your arms. Because that's what you are to him. Not just desire, not just attraction, but home. When a woman touches a man with intention, she touches his spirit, his memory, his sense of safety. She becomes something he doesn't ever want to lose. Touch is only one way to reach a man's heart. Another is surprisingly simple but often overlooked: food. Not the meal itself, but the care behind it. Imagine a regular Tuesday. He comes home tired, the air feels heavy, but he sees you in the kitchen preparing his favorite meal, not out of obligation, but because you wanted him to feel seen, remembered, cared for. Even if he doesn't say a word, you notice it in how his shoulders relax, in that quiet exhale that shows he feels known. For a man, food is memory, comfort, connection, a silent message that says, I see you, I care. Even if it's just reheating leftovers, warming something slowly, adding a little extra spice, or baking something imperfect that ends up slightly burnt, he notices the care, not the perfection. Even if the kitchen is messy, flour on your face, smoke from the oven, it doesn't matter. He isn't judging the food, he's sensing the intention behind it. When he walks into a room and smells something made for him, something that exists only because you cared enough to create it, something stirs inside him, far beyond hunger. It's nostalgia, warmth, memory, gratitude. His heart feels it before his mind even understands. That's the power of presence, touch, and intention combined. That feeling stays with him long after the last bite is gone. You're not cooking to impress him or to perform. You're showing love in one of the oldest, purest ways: nourishment. Simple acts of care disguised as everyday gestures. And the next step goes even deeper. It's not really about the food, it's about reflection. It's about the version of you he can't look away from, especially when you're not trying. The light in you that remains even on your tired days, remembering your own fire. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is show him that you still choose to shine, not for him, but for yourself, for the woman you are at your core. Imagine a long, draining week. You've been in leggings, messy hair, oversized hoodies, carrying the weight of life on your shoulders. That soft, tired version of you is beautiful. But tonight, you decide to shift the energy, not for him, but for the part of you that wants to feel alive again. You slip into that dress, the one that hugs you just right, the one that reminds you who you are beneath the chaos. You smooth it over your hips, take a breath, and walk into the room. Suddenly, the energy shifts. He looks at you like he's rediscovering a part of life he forgot existed. It's not the dress, it's the energy, the light you choose to carry. You might ask, do I need to dress up for him? Absolutely not. You dress for yourself, for your own energy, because when you feel confident, alive, and radiant, you're not just capturing attention, you're reclaiming power. Looking in the mirror, whispering, I'm still here, reconnects you with your spark. Men notice visuals, yes, but what draws them in is the energy behind it, the confidence, the freedom, the alive spark in your eyes. When a woman remembers her own radiance, it's impossible not to feel it. Dress for yourself, for the version of you that refuses to dim, and every movement, every breath quietly says, I choose to show up, for love and for myself. That choice is everything. Now imagine another scene. You're tying your shoes, not for appearances, not to hit a number, but for more time together, more mornings, more laughter, more shared plans that grow roots. You inhale, stretch, move your body. It's not vanity, it's devotion, a quiet promise to yourself and him. I want to be here not just today, but for years, for memories yet to come. That green juice, that morning walk, that effort you put into yourself, it's love. Love that starts with you and extends to him, not in words but in longevity, stability, and consistency. When he sees you care for yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, he sees trustworthiness, steadiness, intentionality. He sees a woman who follows through, not just with words, but with action. A woman who shows love, not in loud declarations, but in quiet, steady commitment. You may wonder, what if he doesn't notice? What if he doesn't match my consistency? Listen, your effort is never wasted, even if silent. Your care speaks louder than you realize. Even without applause, recognition, or comment, your self-care isn't indulgence, it's self-respect. And self-respect protects the love you're nurturing. Guard your wellness, and you guard the connection and the future of your relationship. This next part is about a different kind of power. Your voice, the words you speak, the way you lift him when life tries to weigh him down. Inside every man, a quiet question lingers. Am I enough? You don't fix it, that's not yours, but you soothe it, soften it, speak to it gently. Imagine him in the kitchen, doing ordinary tasks, quietly keeping life together. You notice, you observe. With a warm, honest smile, you say, I love how you take care of things without needing reminders. He may shrug, nod, or mutter, but inside something shifts. Even the strongest men carry silent insecurities. They need to feel seen, valued, appreciated. When you notice small efforts, checking the door, fixing something quietly, holding space for you, intimacy begins. It starts not with drama, but in the quiet affirmation, I see you. Perhaps he doesn't always mirror the words, but when you stop expecting praise and simply acknowledge effort, you build something real. You feed the part of him that wants to stand strong. A man who feels uplifted by you doesn't just stay, he grows, deepens, expands. Speak to his core, not to inflate his ego, but to nourish the parts rarely fed. Picture him on the couch, headphones in, absorbed in a show or game. You pass by, smile softly and say, enjoy it, babe, I'm here. No tension, no complaint, just ease. He's surprised, even grateful, because being with you feels light. You don't cling, you don't crumble. A man who is given space gives more in return. If you want to live in a man's mind, be the woman who's comfortable with space. Real love doesn't cling. Real love remains solid when the room is quiet. He doesn't need you on him every second. He needs to know he can be himself and you won't unravel. A woman who gives a man breathing room becomes a soft ache in his chest, a presence he carries with love. When he steps out or asks for time alone, don't panic. Let it be what it is, him resetting so he can return calm, present, and open. You don't lose him by giving space. You lose him by suffocating what makes him feel alive. Now, intimacy, the kind the world rarely teaches anymore. It isn't rushed, forced, or mechanical. Modern life pushes everything too fast. Kisses, conversations, touch. But the closeness that marks his soul is never about speed. It's about slowness, depth, intention. Picture a long, exhausting day. You reach for him, but instead of rushing, you ease into the moment. Your hands move softly, learning him again, exploring gently. You breathe together, rediscovering what's precious. In that softness, he stops bracing. He lets his guard down because real intimacy isn't a race. It's a presence that whispers, you matter, you're safe, I see you. Intimacy isn't always wild. Sometimes it's quiet. It's not the speed of your hands, but the meaning behind them. When you stop chasing the end and sink into presence, he doesn't just respond, he melts. He follows your breath, rhythm, warmth. His walls drop, the part of him hidden from the world begins to speak. Let him feel you, your intention, your space, the quiet between kisses. Slow him with your calm. Teach him intimacy as a language. He remembers. Your touch shows he's enough. Your presence supports him with truth. Slow it down. Be the fire that glows steadily, not flashes. Let your intimacy linger in him long after. And if you look at everything you've done, you'll notice a thread. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what matters with soul, with intention. Not earning love, but embodying it in your eyes, tone, gestures. Real love whispers, steadies, stays. That's what makes a woman unforgettable. Not how loud she speaks, but how deeply she lives her truth. A man can hear "I love you" from 100 voices and forget. He never forgets the woman who made him feel he could finally breathe. The one who saw him, accepted him, loved him as he was, without demanding perfection.